I'm gonna tell you a quick story here about why I'm talking about this and why it affects me a little more than it should. Around 2011, I think 2012, I was tasked to help this older woman out. Her son, essentially, that she raised, she was his aunt, but she raised him, at a young age, and he joined the army, became a sergeant first class. And by the way, you don't make sergeant first class by being a terrible soldier. I made sergeant first class. This soldier made sergeant first class. Obviously, he knew his job. Obviously, I knew my job. The point being is that he was on a fast track, to make more rank. After that was first sergeant and sergeant major. I was tasked because he died in a MWR, which is Morale, Welfare, and Recreation trip in Germany. He fell over on a white rafting trip and drowned in a river. I was tasked to help that lady out. I didn't go to the door, but my whole job for about a month was to make sure, as a representative of the Army, that she got what she needed. I had to sign for a $100,000 check. I had to show up and introduce myself. I'm going to be taking care of you, ma'am. My name is Sergeant so and so, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I was on call 24/7 for her. And whatever she needed, let's say for instance she needed a gallon of milk, I would go and get it for her. She needed X, she needed Y. That was my job until she didn't need me anymore. And the dignified transfer in Norfolk, Virginia, was completed, and then I would go to the in my Class A uniform. I would go to the funeral where he was laid to rest. So the whole time I had to sign for a $100,000 check. I presented it to her, with condolences and all that. And during the whole process, we had to go to the funeral home, make arrangements. I was there with her the whole time. She was rock solid. She didn't really say much, but I could tell she was distraught, obviously. So when we did the dignified transfer, okay, we were in Norfolk, Virginia, and we knew the plane was coming at this time. So another sergeant first class was with me. He was tasked to help out with anything with the soldier's wife. So we would go there. We got signed onto the airfield. We went to the parking ramp where the airplanes were, and we were there waiting in our Class A uniforms. I didn't bring my phone with me because I didn't need it, because I didn't want to be looking at it for any reason, because I didn't need to, because my job was to render respects to a fallen soldier and to provide aid and comfort to the aunt of this fallen soldier. That was my job, and I did it to 100% ability. My job was to help and console her and render a proper salute and respect for the dignified transfer off the cargo hold of that airplane into the hearse. So me and this other guy, we stood there, and once the casket started coming off, we both rendered the salute, and we held it there until the door of the hearse was shut. Brought the salute back down. Stood there as the horse drove away. And by the way, if you ever see this or ever witness this, if you're on the plane that this happens, the pilot will come on the intercom and say, "Please stay in your seats as we have a dignified transfer of the remains of a fallen service member." And so you're not allowed to get off the plane. So you got to sit there, however long it takes. That's how long it takes. So they pulled the fallen sergeant first class off, put him in the hearse, and he drove him off. Unfortunately, I would say unfortunately, but as soon as it came off, and they did I think they did taps, if I remember correctly. The aunt, she lost it. She started crying and just sobbing uncontrollably. Luckily, her family was there, and I sort of stepped away from it because that was not my place to be there right at that point, because, who am I? I'm just some guy. But up until that point, I was with her the whole time. And then I went to the funeral, and of course, again, she cried again once he was laid to rest. And the taps played, 21 gun salute, and then the reception afterwards. And then I still was tasked to her for about a couple weeks after that. And then I brought her to some sort of it was like a symposium on loss and grief, and I brought her there, and that was pretty much it. I didn't really have any contact with her after that, but because there was really no need to. I was just, not only was I doing my job, I liked doing the job. It was an honor to have someone come off that plane But one thing I didn't do while I was rendering my salute and the proper dignity and respect to a fallen soldier, did I check my watch. Why would I check my watch? My job was to give respect. And respect I did give. The whole time, 100%, across the board. I was tasked to do this, and I completed the mission. And then when you look at the potato, this pisses me off. That son of a bitch. This I can't believe this is happening now. I'm glad my face is not being shown. Because I remember during the viewing, and to see him, lying there in the casket, I'm just, it's, every once in a while I kind of think about it, and I'm like, God, that could be me. That could be the guy next to me. That could be one of my soldiers, and I, son of a bitch. What an utter contemptible thing to do. Check your fucking watch. Knowing that all cameras and video cameras are on you. And that's what you do? You check your watch. For what? Why did you check your watch? Did you have somewhere to go? Was tapioca pudding later? Did you have to go to a meeting? Your job there, you fucking piece of shit, was to render respects to the people you killed. Yes, let's make no bones about it. You killed them, Potato, you fucking Biden piece of shit. You had them killed. Maybe indirectly, but they died because of your faulty leadership or someone's faulty leadership. You killed them. So I don't believe you when you say you feel sorry or you feel, remorse. I don't believe you. You're a piece of shit. You're a liberal for one and a Democrat for another thing and probably a communist piece of shit. I don't believe you. You had one job. Your task was to render respect to the people you killed. And you couldn't even do that. You couldn't. You couldn't be bothered just to stand there and mourn the loss of the dignified transfer that was going on in front of you. You couldn't fucking do that. Why? Because you don't care. You don't care. I cared because there's a brotherhood in the military. I don't care what skin color you are, what political party you are while you're in the military. If one of your brothers died, especially of the same rank, that's another thing too. You're a senior non-commissioned officer. He was a senior non-commissioned officer. I was a senior non-commissioned officer. You don't want to see other senior non-commissioned officers die, especially you don't want to see one of your soldiers die. That's even worse. One of the people that you're charged to protect, you're charged to take care of, that sucks. Happened to me once or twice. But that was under, I'm not going to get into that. But this one right here, his utter lack of respect and his obvious contempt for those who died. His obvious contempt for anybody who serves in the military right now. He has contempt. He doesn't fucking care about you. All the people that died, those 13 service members that died, one was 30 years old. The rest were under 23 years old. I think one was 30, one was 26. The rest were under 23. The Earl Young had bright futures. And he had one job to do. If this fucking potato, if President Biden, I say president with air quotes, if his one job was to render respects to the people he had killed, in Afghanistan, if he can't do that, then how can he run a country of 330,000 people?